state government's job is to have an environment in our state that is conducive to economic growth and job creation so that our people can have better, higher paying jobs with futures for careers and for a better standard of living, higher quality of life so their children and grandchildren stay here. Sometimes we don't see what that's got to do with pottery, or till Gail Pittman kind of gave us a clue, or McClarty, or some of the others. Sometimes we don't see how cooking is a creative enterprise that really is a business until Fred Carl and Viking showed us the way, or music, Mary, that Hartley showed us. You know, here's how we create hundreds and hundreds of jobs in Mississippi. But there's a lot more to it than that. You know, when we look back at last year, the Development Authority worked on and gave assistance to projects that brought about $4 billion of new investment in Mississippi and created 7,000 new jobs, either working with existing industries or industries that came here. This year, we're on about the same pace, about $2.5 billion of new investment and nearly 3,000 new jobs, with more in the pipeline. Pretty easy to see, pretty easy to quantify. But when you take a comprehensive view of the economy, let me tell you what, the creative economy and all that that encompasses is a huge part of Mississippi's economy. I'm going to come to it in a minute in these notes that they gave me, but while it's fresh on my mind, 61,000 people in Mississippi work in jobs or careers, professions that are considered part of the creative economy. Malcolm's going to talk more about how you get to that. But it's more than just art. It is art, but it's more than art, as we talked about. You know, you look at the fact that we really are the birthplace of America's music. You know, that's something that we say not as a slogan, but as a fact. There is no question that the blues and all the genre of music that descended from the blues created the Mississippi Delta. Nobody argues about that. But nobody takes issue with the fact that Jimmy Rogers was the father of country music, or that Elvis Presley was the king of rock and roll, or that B.B. King is the king of the blues today. And we see what comes from that. I will be honest with you, I don't think we make enough of it. I think we don't do enough with our music on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis to do for our economy what it could do. You know, one of the complaints we hear all the time are people that come down here to see the blues trail, they love it, they go to the B.B. King Museum, they go to Clarksdale, maybe they go to the Bentonian Blues Festival, which is a testament that you don't have to be a big city to be participating in the creative economy. Does everybody even know where Bentonia is? In Yazoo County, it passes for a town. But the thing we hear from people all the time is, man, we wish we could go every time we come and hear live music performed in various parts of the state. There's an opportunity there. Somebody smarter than Haley is going to figure that out. They're going to make a bunch of money doing it. And they're going to employ a lot of great, talented people who get to do full-time for a living what they love to do, play music. We've got a long way to go in the creative economy, and we can get there. But even before any quantum leaps or huge progress, we have today many, many people who work in this economy and prosper. Artists, and there are artists here. I saw photographers coming in. You could tell there was professional photographers, because they had these little bitty cameras that could do stuff that cameras this big couldn't do, you know, back when I weighed 50 pounds less. But painters, I was glad to see Wyatt Ward's here, who we're all, whose work we are very proud of in Mississippi. By the way, all of us Yazoo County people are proud that the Warders are a good Yazoo County family. But there are so many people who make a living today in the arts, including those who work for TV or work for Viking or wherever. So this is not something somebody dreamed up. There are 61,000 people doing this in Mississippi today. The issue is here, how do we do better? How do we do more? How do we teach people to take advantage of this that really hadn't thought about it? You know, why does Rolling Fork have the Great Bear Festival? Because it's the closest town to where Theodore Roosevelt didn't shoot the teddy bear. Why do they do that and other people don't? I'm not here to know the answer, but I'm here to know that if we ask that question, a whole bunch of people here will get to the right answer and figure out how we take advantage of this. And I do want to emphasize that small towns can participate here. One of the things you see in economic development, if we're talking about manufacturing or even distribution, it is very hard for small towns to participate. Now, yeah, the Toyota plant's going to be built at Blue Springs, population 165. Even in Mississippi, that qualifies as a small town. But the truth of the matter is, it would not be there except it is essentially suburban Tupelo. Because you need the infrastructure. You need a lot of things. If you're going to have 2,000 or 3,000 people work somewhere at the beginning and ultimately expect that plant to employ 6,000 or 7,000 people, as the Toyota plants in Kentucky and Indiana have grown to be, which is the way they plan. Build it at half size, get it running right, then double the size and go from there. It's very hard to do that unless you're in a pretty close proximity, a pretty good sized town, and a large labor market. Now, we tried to set up with Toyota and with others for them to have suppliers that could go to small towns. Not only to New Albany and Pontotoc and Fulton and Baldwin, but even a supplier that maybe has 25 jobs could go to a very small town. Well, let's get the cards on the table face up here. It is very hard for small towns to really be very attractive in the manufacturing economy. But it is no disadvantage in the creative economy. There are many parts of the creative economy that fit into small town Mississippi very nicely. And if you want to question that, look at the program. I didn't bring mine up here, but in the inside of the program, on the right-hand page, there are some of the topics that are going to be talked about this afternoon or later this morning. And look at the towns. Look at the towns that are cited as the example. They're no Jacksons or Biloxis. They're almost in every case a small town that has taken advantage of something that that town has. And that's what we want to do. We've been working on this for 2 years with the Arts Commission. And let me just say, in full disclosure, this is Malcolm's idea. You know, we governors, even the ones that never going to run for re-election, we all love to take credit. The fact is, the credit belongs to Malcolm and people. They did this study, the creative economy, and I'm going to let him explain it to you, but it's a study that shows us about 3% of the people in Mississippi already work in the creative economy. our goal is how do we grow that? How do we get other communities, other types of industries, creative industries to grow in Mississippi? But we got a pretty good start. And I'll give you an example. Mississippi population 3 million. We have about 61,000 people that are classified as working in the creative economy. Georgia, 4 times larger, 13 million people. They have 88,000 people who work in the creative economy. As a factor, about a third as much, or as many, as a percentage of the whole workforce. So we got an extremely viable creative economy. We just got to learn better how to grow it, how to mine it, if you will, because it could be an economic gold mine for a lot of places. It also is not foreign to us. You know, we talked about the blues. You know, you can talk about Medici or Club Zero or the phenomenal B.B. King Museum. If you haven't been to the B.B. King Museum in Indianola, just make it your business to go. It is cutting edge, world class, super duper. And fittingly so, because they've got a world class, super duper person who is honored there. But it's about more than just B.B. King. We've also had a huge history here on the coast, particularly at Ocean Springs and Bay St. Louis, of artists who have made their living there. And we still have that today. We got a history that's out of this world. We've talked about, Derek talked about the blues trail, the country music trail, but also the Civil War sites, the civil rights history of Mississippi fit into this. They bring people here. Just like these renowned artists, people want to come and see what happened here. And while they're here, it's our opportunity to capture their attention, to sell them something, to feed them something, to sing them something while they're here. And we can do that. Let me just close by making a couple of points that I think are important. There is a totality to economic development that when you're in the poorest state in the country, you have to be sure that you're taking advantage of all your assets. This is an asset that has been wonderfully appreciated, particularly in terms of the arts, music, and writing. Just phenomenally appreciated around the world, not just here, but around the world. But we've never done a very good job of making it an economic asset. And that's what we've been trying to do for 8 years, to take all of our assets and make them economic assets, because that's what we need most. And I think that the fondest hope of virtually every mother and grandmother in Mississippi is that their children and grandchildren will choose to stay in Mississippi, because this is the best place, the best opportunity for them to get a high-tech, high-paying job that will lead to a long career. The best opportunity to create a business or to go into a profession where they can prosper, but then also raise their families in an environment that they choose to live in, that they think is nurturing for their children and grandchildren. That's our job here. And as we look over the playing field, here's a place where there's a lot more that can be accomplished. A lot more that can be accomplished. That's why wanted to come and be with Malcolm this morning and to be with you. To tell you, this is serious. It's fun. It's great to have the opportunity to see this creative economy flourish. But it is also an important need for Mississippi. We can't sit on our assets. We have to take every asset we got, and we got to nurture it and grow it and make the most of it. Today, I hope that that's what you'll spend your time thinking about. How can we do more of that for Mississippi? And I urge you to think of it in the most capitalistic way. You know, there are a lot of private business people out here. People who are artists, but people who are in the hospitality industry, people who are in the bed and breakfast business, people who are in the speaker business, to be a little narrow definition of PD. I want you to think about, how can this help my business? How can this help my business? How can this help my town? How can this help my state? And then act on it. At the end of the day, conferences are great. Y'all are going to have a good time today. There are a bunch of great people here, interesting people. That's one good thing about the creative economy, it's full of interesting people. But the test is, what progress have we made in a month and a year toward making the creative economy a real part of the everyday economy of your community? States don't do it. We can help, we can provide resources, we can provide ideas and expertise. At the end of the day, whether this conference produces any results that will benefit you and those around you is going to depend on your community. Your community has to do this. That's what economic growth stems from. Communities working together to take advantage of their assets. I hope this spurs every one of you to that goal, and that you reach the goal. If so, Malcolm will again have had a spectacular idea. Thank y'all for letting me do this.